Very dramatic, frightening nightmares. Honestly, I started to think, could he have been in the World Trade Center? But there was a huge part of me that said, wait a minute, that can't be. It can't be.
We didn't show him anything. There's no way he could have known about it. It was before school. It was before preschool.
No one in my family knows anyone involved in the World Trade Center, and he's never been to New York. I noted it, but I never thought anything of it. I noted it as an oddism. I just thought he had a vivid imagination. A little bit later, he became obsessed with planes.
At first, Cade was totally petrified by the airplanes, like they were monsters. He wasn't scared of them being in the air. It's more like he was scared of where they were going.
It was obsessive. Cade wasn't just into planes, he was obsessed with planes.
Driving through downtown was hard for him. He wouldn't get out of the car and walk around. And he would ask if planes flew over downtown.
Cade is a 7-year-old now, and to this day, Cade around tall buildings is frantic.
It feels creepy. I just don't like to look up. I would not like to go in a tall building. No.
He doesn't want to be around them. He doesn't want to come close to them.
That big shiny one looked just like the Twin Towers. It brings back a lot of memories, but I'm not going in it, okay?
I was worried, I was concerned.
We would make excuses. I say, well, you know, that's his personality. It finally did get to the point where I couldn't deny it anymore. Something really bad was happening. I remember vividly the first time Cade began to describe being under the building and hitting the ground. He just flat out said that he was in a building that was hit by something. That it exploded and that he had fallen. And he described to us in great detail seeing himself from above and him hitting the ground and watching his brains come out of his head and watching himself get covered in rubble.
What do you say when a 3-year-old tells you if you're falling from a long way, you can hear your insides rattle? I was shocked and really upset.
We both stepped away and cried. Everything, kind of the pieces suddenly came together like a puzzle. The planes, the tall buildings. This person was at the World Trade Center.
The plane hit the World Trade Center, then it got stuck in the building. When I was falling, I was still alive, and then all the rubble hit me. I didn't feel anything because I died.
I'm feeling very sad for him because I don't imagine a man going through this. I imagine my baby going through this. And so I still, to this day, I can't make the difference in my head. When he describes it, to me, it's my Cade. This is happening to him. I don't know how you get past that. I mean, life has so many things happen that you have to get past. How do you get past remembering that? At this point, Cade started asking me to change his name, that he didn't like Cade. He was just very insistent that Cade was not his name. A name now. So I went online and I posted Cade's story on a web board, hoping that other people would maybe help me find answers. And it was actually another mother who sent me the link, and she said there was a man that worked in the World Trade Center, and he died on 9/11. His life mimics what Cade describes his life and his death was. I was absolutely shocked, absolutely. I had to tell everyone I found it. I pulled up the obituary, the pictures, but I'd never thought about contacting the victim's family. Continuing to follow through with anything to do with 9/11 may interrupt their mourning process. But also, what would you say? What would you say to somebody? Your son didn't die. He is just someone different now. What would you say? I mean, I would imagine if somebody called me with that, I would hang up the phone. I've done the investigation. I've made the connection. Now I know. I know the truth. I know who he was. I know how he died. But as a mother, I'm feeling very helpless. I can't make this memory go away. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this.
Jamie was around 4 years old, and we had gone out one night and left him with a babysitter. And when we came home, we found out that Jamie had watched the last half of the Titanic movie, which is not something we were happy about. And the next day, he started drawing and painting picture after picture of the Titanic. Within the first 2 weeks, he probably had painted 50 pictures. One, he had over 100 windows drawn in. One pencil drawing, he has all the levels of the ship. Like if you cut the ship in half and you can see all the different rooms and everything. He knew the ship. He knew it by heart. You can't learn that by watching the movie. The movie actually was more about a love story, and Jamie was completely distraught over the fact that the people in the boiler room died first. Like it was his fault that they were trapped. When he was 5 years old, he was telling me some of the mistakes that they made in building the ship. Using iron instead of steel was wrong. He was 5. He was telling me these things. So after Jamie was having memories of the Titanic for almost 2 years, as we studied the Titanic and the history of it, we had finally come to the conclusion about who he was. We didn't match him up with anybody right away, but as we studied the Titanic and the history of it, Jamie could have been one of the designers. His name was Thomas Andrews. Thomas Andrews designed several ships for the White Star Line, and it was his habit of going on all the maiden voyages of the ships that he helped design and build. And on the Titanic, the night that they were sinking, he chose not to get on a lifeboat and went down with the ship. When you read about Thomas Andrews, it fit with what Jamie said. They took the Titanic exhibit across the country, and as soon as my daughter Teal heard that they were coming to Chicago, we bought tickets immediately and figured Jamie has to go see it.
The things that he was experiencing were becoming more and more intense, and the obsession had been going on for so long that I thought maybe if he is exposed to things that were actually there, maybe something will click in him and it won't be such an obsession anymore. Maybe if he gets closer to it, it'll make things better.
When we went to the Titanic exhibit in Chicago, I was hoping that there would be something that would turn the corner for Jamie. But it was after the exhibit that Jamie had the dream that I call the death dream. He had been suffering from night terrors for a couple of years. Well, one night, this was after we had seen the exhibit, I was home alone with Jamie. He was in bed asleep, and I was watching television, and all of a sudden I heard a bang on his bedroom wall. It was rhythmic. It was bang, 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 bang. And I jumped up and I ran down the hallway and I flung the door open, and Jamie was up on all fours on his bed. He was staring at the floor and he was almost convulsing. He was shaking so hard. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was terrified, and I didn't know if I should like shake him out of it. And before I could even do anything, he screamed, and I cannot tell you the terror in his voice. He screamed, "She's going down." It didn't sound like a little boy. It sounded like a man. And I started to cry. But after that night, it was a day or two, he would talk about the Titanic. And then it was a week, he'd talk about the Titanic. Then it was 2 weeks. And slowly, he just stopped talking about it. And I really felt that through all of that brought him to the memory of actually the ship sinking. And once he experienced that, it was over. It was over.
When Claire was around 8, we decided to take a trip to Texas to visit my sister. After I bought the tickets, she decided that she didn't want to get on that plane, and she did not want to go. It was a really emotional time for me. Her fear of flying was so intense, she was afraid to fly with me to my sister's house in Houston. She started talking to me about the plane crashed through the side of the building.
I remember her telling me that Claire felt pretty adamant that she was in a building when a plane crashed.
She continued telling me that she saw a portion of that plane coming through the wall.
Could have been something she had seen, because every year they replay something from September 11th.
I remembered back to when I was pregnant with Claire and the whole 9/11 incident, and I thought to myself, ooh, I wonder if she's remembering being a part of the whole 9/11 tragedy. For about 2 weeks, she continued telling me that she worked in an office in New York City, and I started writing everything she told me down. She was talking with emotion and like it was happening, it was very real to her. Claire described her hair as being red and wavy. She even remembered that she would often put it up in a bun. The way she described the outfit that she was wearing, it was sort of like a 1950s type of style, and I really restricted what they watched on TV. And so where would she have seen 1950s clothes to even describe them? She started talking to me about a fire within the office, people frantic, but then she didn't remember what happened next. It's almost as if she didn't want to remember. I had her start talking to me about the building itself, and I fully expected her to describe 2 buildings. I asked her, well, which building were you in? She told me it was the Empire State Building. I had never heard of a plane crashing into a building in New York City except for 9/11. I took my notes and walked downstairs to see what I could find out on the computer. But I just wanted to have verification or proof that something like that actually occurred. I was shocked to find that there actually was an airplane that hit into the Empire State Building. How would an 8-year-old telling me this